Oh, blow the man down, bullies, blow the man down.
You mean way, blow the man down.
Blow the man down, bullies, blow him away.
Give me some time to blow the man down. We went over the bar on the 13th of May. Way, blow the man down. The Gallagher jumped and the gale came away. Give me some time to blow the man down.
As I was a-walking down Paradise Street,
Blow the man down.
a saucy young damsel I
Okay, so I got the drawer. So it does slide in and out. It gets stuck a little bit here, but that's because of the buildup of this paper. And you can see how it's coming off a little bit. I'm going to glue it back down. Okay, so yeah, in and out, pretty easy. We're gonna tape the back, put that on, and it has to go again inside to inside. And make sure that you are flush inside to inside and to the top. All right. And then I am, because we have the issue up here, I am going to not do the outside of this. I'll just use washi tape, I think. We'll see how that works. But I still need to do the inside. If the washi tape doesn't work, I'll take it off and we'll use gussets and we'll just figure it out. Right? Right. Okay. Okay. Let's see if I can't get this washi on here. Let's start here. Actually, let's just start on the front and go all the way around, right side up. I'm just putting glue right along the top because I have a feeling that if it were going to come off, that's where it would come off. So I'm reinforcing that. And the front and the pieces, the parts that you're going to see all the time are going to be covered with pattern paper, I think. Yes. It sticks out a little bit. But I'm good with that. I'm going to take my black marker. Actually, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. This piece of cardstock here needs trimmed. Sorry, put my head in there again. And then I'm going to color those edges that you may see. If you have black cardstock, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Or not cardstock, chipboard. Let's see here. I cannot tell anymore what is the front and what is the back. That looks good. And we're going to add a handle on here so you can actually open and close it. But I want to put pattern paper over it first, so that's going to be part of the decorating. Okay, let's go through one drawer here. And then, whoops, and then I'll do this one off camera. So, but you'll have one that we can do together. So this is, I marked them, remember. Whoop, I just tore off my marking. Okay, this is B. And then I also put this line across here so I could line it up the way that it goes on like that. Okay, so now we need 3 sides. These are approximately 3 by 2, and we're going to have to trim them down. And then this is the back 2 by 2. Now, remember, the same as the front drawer, this has to sit in front of this drawer. It has to go in front so that it will fit in. And you can see right now that this piece here is too big. It's not fitting in. And so the first thing I'm going to do is, I have about a 1/16 of an inch there. I'm going to go ahead, instead of sanding that, I'm going to go ahead and trim it. Okay. Now, I'll put it in. It fits perfectly. And it fits all the way to the edge, but I need, like I said before, this to sit in front of it. So I have, actually I need this to sit in front of it and this to sit in back of it. So I need to shave off about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch there too. So let's go. Okay, so we're gonna have 2. Now I'm gonna put this in here. And you can see now how much I have left over. You can just double check that by putting these 2 in there and saying, yep, that's about the right width apart that has to be. So let's go ahead and put the front on, because I know this fits. We did add the washi tape to it, so I'm going to just trim off just a little bit. This is probably not even a 30-second, even though I'm sanding all 4 sides. I got a bigger piece of sandpaper when I was messing with the last one, just in case you were wondering. Okay, and we're going to do the same as we have been doing. Okay, make sure that your markings are the way they fit in here, and that's how you're going to put it on your drawer. This one we put on the front first because it is going the front is going over the bottom. And then you line this up with the edge of your, oh, hang on, I did that wrong. Okay. Hang on. It goes in front of, so totally, okay, so when you want to go in front of, you put it on the bottom first. Let's do this again. Sorry about that. Going in front of, put on the bottom first. I shouldn't be gluing things on my cutting. And then put the front on and make it flush with the bottom. Sorry about that. Okay. And then we'll do the outside. Now this, I think, probably needs a little shave since we shaved the bottom. You can see the difference is about a 1/16 of an inch there. And then let's compare it to the front. We have about a 1/16 of an inch there to cut off, so we just need to either sand or cut that off. We're going to cut it off. Okay, I missed the half of that cut. Here, zoom me back out. There we go. And line it up with the front. And there's still a possibility that you could be a little off even after you do this, because the inside of this could, not be exactly right. So there's always that possibility. Don't be discouraged. That's why we have the sandpaper. Because even after we glue everything together, we can still sand it down. And remember, this goes on top again. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue it to the bottom of the drawer. I'll have to break out my new glue. Oh, I did it again, you guys. It goes on. You can do it that way. If you do it the other way, then it won't line up with the bottom. It has to line up with the back, like that. Okay. Okay, now these are the sides, and they're gonna need trimmed because these also have to go on the inside and inside. So we have about the same amount to take off on two sides of both of these. And we kind of already know that because we cut it to fit. We cut it 3 by 2, which fits right in perfectly in the box, in its hole. But we've added 2 layers of chipboard to both sides, so that means that we have to cut off 2 layers worth of chipboard. So it's about, I mean, it's about an 1/8 inch, but the blade takes up about an 1/8 inch. So if you just have like a little 1/16, or the blade takes up a 1/16 of an inch. So if you just cut a 1/16 off, you come close. Okay, so I'm on the outside of that. I'm gonna throw this in here. Check. Okay, 2 things need to be done. This needs to be trimmed. Oh, hang on. Oh, I think it's gonna fit. Oh, it does fit. It fits good, you guys. Maybe just a little trim here. Let's go ahead and do that. Or let's sandpaper it. It's not that much. And this, if anybody's interested, is 400 grit sandpaper from the hardware store. Still a little off there. I just cut half a layer because I obviously can't turn it around and cut the other side. It's just easier to sand that way. It'll come off faster because you're sanding less off. Okay, let's see how that works. A little bit more. it fits in there because my top is a little higher. Like there's probably about an 1/8 inch there, and I could leave that like that. I just have to make sure that the sides line up with the front and not the back. You know what I mean? It's actually, if you leave that there, it's gonna make it so it doesn't the drawer won't come out. Alright, let's take a peek at this and see what we have to do. This needs to be trimmed. Like if we were going side to side, that would be perfect, but we need to go inside to inside, so I'm going to trim it again. That looks pretty good now. I'm gonna say you want to make sure that these stay at right angles, so maybe just a tiny bit more. Looks like I may have cut that one crooked, or not crooked, but only halfway. Alright, that looks good. And it make sure that it's no higher than the front. Okay, and then we can trim this one accordingly. So the second side's always easier. It looks like we got about an 1/8 inch still to take off of both sides. Close. Looks pretty good. Alright, let's hinge them on, shall we? And then the other drawer is exactly the same. So, I'm sure you don't want to watch me struggle through that again. And again, it's so finicky. I wish I could just give you guys dimensions and be like, hey, cut it to this and it'll fit. But there's so many variables in it that I would be doing you an injustice if I just don't show you how to like figure it out. Like, you just can't always have those measurements that work out perfectly all the time, unfortunately. Okay, here we go. And by the way, this is how you make like any chipboard box. make sure that when you put your sides together, it's inside to inside, that your sides tuck under or into your front and back, which they should just want to do that because we made sure that they were the right measurements. I'm going to have a little issue here. I'm going to be cutting off. You see how much higher that is? So I either glued it on crooked. See? You see how that's glued on crooked? There's a big gap right here. Okay. Make sure that's flush with the bottom now. There we go. It just wants to move up. That's a little ugly hinge, isn't it? I could have took it off and made a new one. That's alright. It's on the inside of a drawer. You're not going to see it. My camera is going to overheat in a second, so yeah, we just put the hinges on all 4 outside corners and then all 4 inside corners, in case I don't make it that far. The inside corner hinges don't have to come, you know, they don't have to be the full length. They will support it and make it rigid even if they're not the full length. And then if you have any corners that stick out, and then you just sand it again. Okay. I am filming. And there we go. And that fits in there pretty good. We just have a little bit of trimming to do, maybe a little bit of sanding, and it fits good. We're going to go ahead and coat the outside of this with the washi tape again so that it slides easier. And we make 2 of these, 1 for each side. Hey everybody. Alright, this is what we have so far, and y'all will be happy to know that we are on the home stretch as far as the construction goes. We have to get this lid on. So we have our 2 sides marked inside and inside. We have a bottom piece which will sit right on top of here, and then we have our rolled piece that I have wrapped around my cup. Right there. Alright. And these will go inside here, just like that. Alright, so how do we get these things to stick? Let's do it. So you take one of your hinges, and for reference, this one is almost 10 inches long. You fold your hinge in half, and about every inch you cut a V. You do not cut it all the way to the end, or all the way to the fold, I guess is what I wanted to say, so that you are left with this. And you just continue to do that. I guess I'm leaving, I don't know, probably a 1/16 of an inch there. And you just do that the entire length. Like I said, about every inch. Like the more little triangles you cut, the more round your straight piece of paper can become. Now you take your inside and inside. And I've already done one of these. Here we go, right here. Okay, so you take your hinge that you cut up, Okay, so for the inside of the drawers, I am going to use this pink acrylic paint. It's mousse paint, which gives it a texture, but I'm just using it because it's a light pink color. Okay, so let's get this going a little bit here. The rest shouldn't take too long. So first I need some magnets, and the basic gray magnets are available at Country Craft Creations. Let's see if I have another open pack. I don't see another open pack, but I got oh wait, nope, that's the back of that one. Okay, so here we go. I love it when I get to use something, finish something off. And this is going to be to close the hidden compartment there. I guess it doesn't really matter which one I use. Okay, there we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a chipboard piece that sticks out here. So I'm going to take my chipboard scraps, wherever I may have put those. I found some smaller chipboard, so that's fine. It's just thinner. You can use regular size chipboard. And I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut, that's probably about 3/4 of an inch. If you use the thicker stuff, just use your trimmer like you do all your chipboard. And then this is 4 inches, so let's go ahead and cut it at 2. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now you can either hinge it or you can just score it and fold it. let's go ahead and use a hinge since, oh, here's one here I got. Okay, and we'll cut it about 1 inch. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. I'm going to hinge it to make a 90-degree with the chipboard on both of them. I'm going to do one like that. And that's going to be like a secret compartment, because if you're making this for a little girl, who doesn't need a place to put their secret stuff in? Okay, and then on the outside, I'm going to cut the hinge the right size, which should be about 3/4 of an inch. And that's going to hold that pretty stiff there. We're going to be using a magnet, so it's going to hold itself together. It will move the way it needs to, but you want it to be as close to 90 degrees as you can get. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to take one and attach it here. And one is going to go here. But I'm going to put, first I'm going to cut this down just a tiny bit because I don't want it that long. Like, you only need it long enough to put the magnet on. So there we go. And then we're going to put this one actually, let's do it this way. Let's only use one here, because we'll use this one excuse me, if we need it on the outside. Okay, so I'll get my bearings here. We're going to put a magnet right here on the inside, and I'm going to use glue. And that is going to go right. Oh, you know what, guys? There are 2 magnets here. That's why. Oops. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to put one there. And I just put it like, it's like a 1/16 away from the edge. And I may just use washi tape to cover that so that it's not so bulky. Okay. And then let that dry. I'm going to I'm going to cover that magnet with a piece of score tape just so it doesn't come off when I'm trying to do this. I got the polarity wrong, so I'm just going to take the adhesive off of the magnet, the opposite side, and that's okay. Okay, good enough. I'm just going to take a piece of 1/4 inch score tape, cover that up. That'll hold it on while I'm messing. Okay, and then this one, I'm going to go ahead and glue it on the piece. There we go. I'm going to put a piece of score tape over it because I still have some adhesive on it. Just wrap it around there. You want it, this one, I put it in the wrong spot. This one has to go further down because when you shut it, it's going to be right there. I messed up the integrity of my hinge there. That's okay. We'll fix it later. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and cut some more of this off because you only need the magnet. You don't really need anything else. And then put glue on the side you're gluing to the base. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it to the magnet there. And then close the base plate on it. Now that's not going to stick it, I have to, but it gives me where to glue it, see? If you just put the glue on it, you close it like that, it's not going to get a firm stick, but now you know where it goes. Because you don't, it's not going to, it's not going to go all the way up against the edge, it has to be able to close, and then there's the thickness of the chipboard, there's the thickness of the magnet. So it's got to go, it's about an 1/8 inch away from the side here, or maybe a 1/16. Right there. Little space. Right, I'm going to let that dry completely before I try and close it. And I think we're about ready to decorate. Yay. What everybody's been waiting for. The inside of this, I'm kicking around the idea of, I have felt, I could do that, but I'm still kicking around the idea of what I want to do there. We could use die cuts. I was thinking sequins and then like glossy accents over it. I have glitter. I could use glitter. I could just leave it like this. It's like a pink sand. It's called mousse, but it's got a grit in it. It looks like sand. Okay, so let's go ahead and start measuring some paper out, and I'll show you how to do this real quick. Let's pick I really like this paper, and I'm sure we can use some we'll use this paper. I'm going to stay in the same color scheme. I'm sure we can use some cut aparts. And here's another white. Okay, so let's stick with that. Now, again, we can measure this the same way that we did before. One of the things we're going to do is use black ink where I don't have the Or I don't have the black hinge. So the main part of the box, let's go ahead and measure, is 6 1/8 by 5. So I'm gonna cut it 6 by 5. And the 5 is tall. Make sure if you have paper that needs to you need to cut it maybe a 1/16 off of that height. There we go. That's perfect. I'm going to ATG that on. You can put some wet glue on there to reinforce it, but because I have those hinges on there, the paper's going to stick. Alright, there's that. And then this one's going to be the same size, so I'm going to go ahead and take my offcut. I'm going to take a 1/16 off the bottom of that. Because I took a 1/16 off the bottom of the other one. And then I've already put black around there. I use some tape here. And then we're going to put black on the top. If you had black chipboard, you would not have to do this. Okay. Then if I had my templates, I can't remember what I did with those. This would be easier. If you have your template, then you just leave an 1/8" border around. But since I can't find mine, it's gonna leave me a bit at a disadvantage, but I will show you how we can cope with that. So you have a 1/16 inch border at the bottom and top here. So what you want to do is measure, and that is 3/8 minus a 1/16. Would be 5/16 of an inch. So I'm coming up 5/16, and I'm going to do it on the side that I'm not using. Find a pencil or a pen. 5/16 of an inch. Of an inch. And then from the side, again, you're going to have a 1/16, so that is 9/16. So we're gonna go a 1/2 inch from the side. From this side. Now you know where your square is going to be cut out of, or your rectangle rather. And then I'm just going to take the actual drawer and put it right on those measurements. It should fit almost perfectly. I'm just going to have a little bit extra because you want meaning your lines are going to be probably about a 1/16 over because that's what you cut it at. And if you have problems with the measurements, you can always use a scrap piece of paper instead of using your pattern paper to test your matting. And this matting is good for everything, this technique, not just this particular project. And use my mat to line up the top line because it is a little crooked. And if you choose to mat the front of the drawers, you can. I think I'm just going to use the washi tape. Okay. Alright, and there you go. That's how you do it. So for this one, because we have this really small area, let's use some glue. Make sure you get it to the side, all the way to the ends, and then on the inside too, all the way around that drawer panel. This paper is thick enough that it will take the glue. It shouldn't warp once we get it stuck down here. And there we go. I could have took a little bit more off here, so I may have to do that. I could have moved it down a little bit more or up a little bit more, but I think the best thing is just to take a little bit more off here. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, do you remember the technique for the lid here? I don't think this paper is going to be big enough, so let's use let's use this pattern here. So we know how big this is by measuring it. It is 6 inches, so we're going to cut this at 5 7/8. And I'm just going to cut the length at 5 7/8. Okay, and then we're going to start at the back, work away around to...
Oh, blow the man down, bullies, blow the man down.
You mean way,
How do you do?
To me, where